Welcome back to Capital Catch-Up, your insider's guide to the halls of Congress. I'm Victor.
And I'm Lenny. It is the fourth week of January 2026, and if you thought the new year would start quietly, the 119th Congress has other plans. We have a massive slate of legislation, some deeply controversial committee actions, and a budget battle brewing.
That is putting it mildly, Lenny. We have to start with the headline grabber. House Resolution 996 has been introduced, calling for the impeachment of the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Lynn Arnold Noem, for high crimes and misdemeanors.
This is a major escalation. Impeaching a cabinet official is historically incredibly rare. We've only seen this happen a handful of times in U.S. history. This resolution signals that the House majority is taking a hardline stance on border and security management. Listeners should remember that impeachment is just the accusation, the indictment, essentially. If this passes the House, it moves to a trial in the Senate.
And the political heat doesn't stop there. In the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, we are seeing resolutions recommending the House find both William J. Clinton and Hillary R. Clinton in contempt of Congress.
Right. This stems from a refusal to comply with subpoenas. A contempt of Congress citation is a procedural hammer the legislature uses to enforce its investigative power. If the full House votes on this, it refers the matter to the Justice Department for potential criminal prosecution. It's a clear signal that the Oversight Committee is digging deep into past executive actions.
Moving from political battles to social policy, we have a cluster of bills addressing what we often call the culture war issues. House Resolution 7235 caught my eye. It would prohibit federal agencies from using the term birthing person in official documents.
This is a direct pushback against gender-neutral language in government. The sponsors argue that mother is the biologically accurate term, while opponents will say this excludes trans men and non-binary individuals who give birth. It's a debate about language, but it has real implications for how the government categorizes citizens.
Alongside that, we have House Resolution 7237. This amends the Public Health Service Act regarding chemical abortions. It would require women to be made aware of specific risks involved. This builds on decades of informed consent legislation, but critics argue these requirements are often designed to deter the procedure rather than inform.
We also saw House Resolution 7236, which directs the Secretary of Health and Human Services to maintain a national list of licensed private child placement agencies. For families looking to adopt, this could be a centralization of resources, but the Other Purposes clause in the bill text usually hides the devil in the details regarding which agencies qualify.
Let's pivot to the wallet issues. The big one, House Resolution 7148, the Consolidated Appropriations Act for 2026.
This is the must-pass bill. It bundles funding for multiple government agencies into one package to avoid a shutdown. In accessible terms, this is the government's checking account for the year. If this doesn't move, the lights go out in Washington.
Speaking of the economy, there's a strong focus on workforce development. House Resolution 7115 aims to amend the tax code to jumpstart savings programs for apprenticeships.
I love seeing this. For years, the focus was solely on four-year degrees. This bill acknowledges that trade occupations are vital. By offering tax advantages for apprenticeship savings, it's putting trade schools on a more equal footing with traditional colleges.
On the national security front, technology is the new battlefield. House Resolution 7058 requires the Secretary of State to assess risks from foreign adversaries using generative artificial intelligence.
This is the first time we're seeing legislation specifically targeting weaponized AI from foreign states. We aren't just talking about deepfakes on social media. We're talking about AI used to crack cybersecurity codes or disrupt financial markets.
Related to security, but in a physical sense, is House Resolution 7037. This deals with developing overseas mineral investments. It's an attempt to break reliance on competitors like China for the critical minerals needed for EV batteries and defense tech.
And for a domestic security issue that always sparks debate, House Resolution 7166. This bill would require face-to-face purchases of ammunition and license ammunition dealers.
That is a significant shift. Currently, buying ammo in bulk online is relatively unrestricted in many places. Requiring face-to-face transactions is a throwback to pre-internet regulations, intended to create a paper trail and allow dealers to visually assess buyers. Expect heavy pushback from Second Amendment advocates on that one.
Let's talk about our veterans. There was a marathon legislative hearing on January 21st, covering a dozen bills, including the Warriors to Workforce Act and the Veteran Housing Promise Act. And don't forget House Resolution 7238, establishing a Commission on Equity and Reconciliation in the Uniformed Services. This suggests a look backward at how minority service members may have been treated historically. plus House Resolution 6358, the Veteran Education Empowerment Act. The sheer volume of veteran-related legislation this week, from housing guarantees to suicide prevention, shows that the Veterans Affairs Committee is trying to overhaul the support system comprehensively, not just piecemeal.
We should also mention House Resolution 1019. It's a formal recognition of Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetists, or CRNAs. They provide the majority of anesthesia in rural America and the armed forces. It's a ceremonial nod, but it matters for professional standing.
Shifting gears to the Senate side of things, the personnel business, the Senate has received a long list of nominations. We are seeing a reshaping of the judiciary in the South and Midwest.
That's right. Nicholas John Ganji for the Southern District of Texas, David Clay Falkis for the Western District of Arkansas, and Megan Blair Benton for the Western District of Missouri.
And United States attorneys as well, Andrew Benson for Maine, William Boyle for North Carolina, and Brian David Miller for Pennsylvania.
Why does this matter? Because while laws are written in the House, they are interpreted in the district courts. These lifetime appointments will affect legal precedents in those states for 30 years or more.
Briefly looking at the committee schedule, there were some fascinating hearings. Housing affordability, saving the American dream took place on the 22nd.
And a terrifying one. Embedded threats, foreign ownership, hidden hardware, and licensing failures in America's transportation systems. That sounds like a spy novel, but it's about the computer chips in our trains and planes.
Finally, we have to touch on the Congressional Daily Records from January 16th through the 23rd, Volume 172, numbers 12 through 16. These records capture the verbatim debates. If you read through them, you see the tension regarding House Joint Resolution 140. Right, that's the disapproval resolution regarding the Bureau of Land Management's withdrawal of federal lands in Minnesota. This is the classic environment versus industry fight, protecting the boundary waters versus mining for those critical minerals we mentioned earlier. It all connects. The minerals needed for the tech discussed in House Resolution 7058 are the same minerals at the heart of the Minnesota land dispute.
So what should our listeners watch for in the coming days?
First, watch the momentum on the impeachment resolution for Secretary Noem. If it gets a floor vote, it will dominate the news cycle. Second, keep an eye on House Resolution 7148, the appropriations bill. If that stalls, we are looking at a government shutdown.
And third, watch the backlash or support for the birthing person ban and the ammo restrictions. These are the issues that drive voter turnout.
It's going to be a busy winter in Washington. Thanks for listening to Capitol Catch-Up.
We'll see you next time.